So we'll move on to Southampton. Andy, you have a connection there. Are you pretty happy with how they did?
It's hard to say. It's a hard one to call. They've kept Van Dijk, which is obviously probably the best business they could have done. There is a lack of creativity hasn't really been addressed. I think last season was sort of one of the lowest scoring seasons that they've had for. I can't remember the exact date, but it was very worrying how much they were struggling to score. I think we went something like 6 games at home in a row without scoring, and they haven't really addressed that. They've signed Lamina and Hutt, who are defensively minded players, so there is still an imbalance there, which hasn't really. I mean, those are 2 good signings, but going forwards, they really needed something, and to not address that and to sell Jay Rodriguez is quite worrying.
What do we think to Van Dijk then as a whole? Do we think he's going to turn in the performances? Is that going to be a worry for Southampton fans, do you think, despite keeping him?
It's a tough one to call. I mean, he's been captain. He's never really, until this window, seems like the sort of player who would go against the grain. He seems like a decent pro before. And it's hard to say. I think he's a good enough player that, if he does get back in the team, he will do the job still. I think the hope is that him and the new signing Hertz will, international sort of compatriots, that they'll form a good partnership there. I don't see any reason why not. It might take a little while just to get that professional relationship with the manager back to a more acceptable level. But I think it will get there, if I'm honest.
The only thing I would say for Southampton fans is they've got an amazing scouting network, and every summer they seem to sign players that turn out to be amazing for them. So I think it hasn't been an ambitious transfer market, but they've signed good players. I like Mario Lamina. He never had a true chance at Juventus, but he's a very good player. And I think he could, in the right atmosphere around Southampton, a club that is known for maximising young players' potential, he could thrive in that environment.
I think I'd have to disagree with Dan, because I think they've showed some ambition, because they've kept hold of Van Dijk and they've signed players from top clubs like Lazio and Juventus. I think Lamina, if one of the top teams had signed him, maybe not top 4, but I think he could definitely cut it at a high level. And I think showing signs that they'll keep Van Dijk, I think that shows a lot of ambition, and shows that the club don't want to be just this constant selling club and a feeder club to the bigger teams.
I'm afraid, realistically, that's all for now. That's all they're going to be.
Do you think they should be admired for that? Because in a sense, if they sold Van Dijk, then they would just get that accusation thrown at them again. So in many ways, I think that has to be admired that they have held strong this time.
I think they've kind of accepted in recent years that they're a selling club, but I think this year was the first real sign that they're trying to. Well, if this transfer is anything to go off, it's the first real sign that they're trying to change that ethos around the club, and they showed that the big boys can't bully them out of selling their best players. And I think yes, they maybe haven't showed too much ambition this window, but it was only 6 months ago that they signed Manolo Gabbiadini, which is a very shrewd signing. So I think him and Austin could be key to Southampton this season.
Obviously, Andy talked about not scoring many goals at all last season. Do you think they needed to go for some forward options, or is it more than that? Is it more of a managerial thing?
I think they had a lot of hopes on Sofiane Boufal when they signed him, and he didn't have that season that was expected from him. And I think this year, if he is able to replicate the form that he had in French football, then they've got a whole new signing altogether.
I think they've got strikers an element to go and score goals, and obviously Gabbiadini is. Let's make no mistake of it. He's no mug. He was a decent player for Napoli. He's actually started for Italy several times as well. And Charlie Austin, when he's fully fit, well, there's goals there for definite. But there's obviously that big question mark there whether they can. I think you're right, David. I think it comes from management ultimately, like the way they play and whatnot.
I think it was you, Marsh, that were quite worried about Southampton when we previewed them before.
Yeah,
I think now that you've looked at it, do you think they're in a much more stable position?
Yeah, again, similar to Leicester, it was whether they could keep hold of that key player, their key players, in fact. And like you said, they've sent a message across the rest of the Premier League that they're sick and tired of being lured in by the big boys and just giving in to the best players all the time. Now that they've kept Van Dijk, if they can sit him down, talk to him, say, look, these are our goals and ambitions for this year. We want you here. We want you to play for us. Maybe change his attitude a bit. Then who knows? Yeah, they can certainly proceed on and prove me wrong for definite. Yeah.
Okay, so how would we assess Southampton's window?
6.5, stable, secure, but nothing over the moon.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're right, Andy. Go on, mate. Yeah.
I'll be optimistic and say it's a 7. I would have bought a creative midfield player or maybe another striker. But what they've bought in is generally decent. And like I say, there's no huge losses either. So
Yeah, I think based on fairness, I've given Arsenal a 5. I mean, they made a big signing and forgot. So I think a 5 would be fair in my opinion.
I'd just like to add that I think it was very good of them to both keep Ryan Bertrand and also Cedric Suarez. There's quite a lot of rumours going around them too. I think that was also good from that perspective.
What about you, Luke? How do you think they did?
I'd give them a 6. It's more of a sideways step. They haven't really gone backwards, but haven't really gone forwards either.